think, act, and prosper. You are now tuned into the Money Level Show.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Money Level Show. Today we're going to talk about why I got into real estate. I remember when my landlord told me to buy the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I never really understood why she told me that, but I told her that I was into finances. I was teaching Dave Ramsey at the time, and she told me to get that book. I bought the book, and the book was sitting on my bookshelf for about 3 years before I even read it. That really showed me that she wanted me to learn a little bit about how to build wealth and how to let your money work for you and how investment properties can really work out for you. Outside of that, I became a homeowner in the year 2019, and I began to understand, okay, this is what home ownership is like, not having to rent, not having to worry about a landlord and their rules and things like that, being able to just do whatever you want to do. However, it becomes a lot of responsibility because if the hot water heater goes out or something goes wrong, you're responsible for it. So that was one of the things I was like, okay, well, I had to kind of weigh it out, and I felt like, hey, I'd rather own my own property. So then I began to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad at the start of the pandemic in 2020. And this book absolutely changed my whole outlook on investing and how I should leverage other people's money in order to build wealth for myself. And I've always had this dream of retiring early and just like, okay, yeah, I want to retire early. I don't want to retire when I'm 65 and then they keep moving the age up. And by the time I'm that age, they may move it to about 70. And who's to say I'm going to live till 70 years old? So I don't want to retire later on in life. I'd rather retire early. So I began to think, how can I obtain investment properties? So to obtain investment properties, you have to make more money so that you can buy a property, so that you can get someone in there to rent the property, so that you can make a little bit of passive income and continue to compound that and things like that. So I felt that real estate would be a good way for me to do that. However, that wasn't the only reason that I got into real estate, even though that was a big reason. I was like, okay, I don't want to work forever. I'm an entrepreneur and I like to work for myself and create my own schedule and things like that. However, I want to see people obtain their own homes and obtain things that they can pass down generation to generation, like my grandmother did when she owned her house and she passed away in the 90s. And she passed that down to her kids. Even though the kids, fought over the house and all that stuff, she still passed something down. And then I began to look at today's generations, and there's not really a lot to pass down to the kids. And so I wanted to help people open their minds to that and see like, okay, this is you building something generational. You've had to work your whole life, to make ends meet or to get into a proper financial situation. And this is a way that you can pass this down generation to generation. If you choose to have kids, you can build generational wealth. And another big thing for me was the wealth inequality gap and things like that. And I wanted to okay, how can I address this? How can I educate people of color in different communities on finances, and how can I help them get their own properties and things like that? So that was another reason why I got into real estate, was because I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people find homes and help people become a homeowner. And I've experienced it myself, and I've experienced how liberating it is, and I've also experienced how expensive it can be as well. But as we can see, the cost of living continuously rises, and it's going up and up and up. I remember in 2015 to 2017, I was paying about $675 for rent. And this was for a 1-bedroom duplex. Then I ended up upgrading because me and my wife, we had a daughter and we still have my son, and I wanted to get a bigger place. So then we upgraded, went to another house. It was $1,000 a month for about a 3-bedroom house. And then after that lease was up, I began to see like, okay, well, the cost of living in these other places is getting really expensive. And I'm like, I need to figure something out. And, and the landlord of that spot wanted to raise the rent. And I just came to the conclusion like, okay, well, should I just buy my own property and pay a little bit extra, a couple $100 extra a month for my own property? Or should I, rent again? And so I felt that the right thing to do was for me to save my money and be able to buy my own property. And as we can see, buying your own property is not easy. You have to make quite a bit of money, and now our country has gotten to the point to where it takes 2 to 3 to 4 people to make rent in properties or to pay the mortgage, and you have to have a lot of working people in the house. So sometimes that isn't attainable for a lot of people. However, like, I'm here and I'm dedicated to helping people come up with plans on how they can address budgeting in the future, how they can save money, how they can invest money, and be able to buy a property so that they can have generational wealth that can flow down to their kids and hopefully down to their grandkids and things like that. So that is like what I wanted to get into real estate for. Of course, it's good to make money, and eventually I do want to own investment properties and be able to provide housing and things of that nature, because the government does give good tax incentives if you provide housing. So that is one reason why I wanted to get in. But the other reason is like, okay, how do we address this divide within wealth inequality? And also, how do we help people be able to own something of their own instead of renting from someone else? And so I want to thank you all for tuning in to Money Level Show today. Be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. I hope that you will all have a blessed day. Peace.